Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Arrow as well as the latest episode of Black Lightning. Like always, if I'm talking about something that you want to listen to, you can always look at the description down below. I include a time and I start talking about each of the respective shows. So for example, if you want to hear what I say about this week's episode of Arrow, you can skip to what I say about this week's episode of Black Lightning. But the first thing I'm going to talk about is this week's episode of Arrow. So breaking things down, I think it's kind of interesting the different parallels they make in this episode. Obviously, like present day, you have Oliver trying to better his relationship with Emiko, and in the future, you have the same thing between William and Mia. And I'll kind of break those down individually, but kind of starting off present day and stuff like that. I love that Oliver has moments where he's around Emiko and he's having those brotherly moments of being on top, like kind of being a little overbearing, because it's like, oh man, that algorithm or whatever it's kind of running a little slow. She's like, no, it's not. He's like, oh, what about these arrows? Like, I made mine when I first started doing all of this. Like, I could give you help if you want to. It's like, look at you kind of playing the brotherly role, because I think it's because the big brother role isn't something that's foreign to him. Obviously he did it so long with Thea, but and he ends up talking about later on, it's because he's trying to compensate for all the time him and Emiko have been apart. It's like, you're my family or my sister, so it's like, of course, like, I want to make things good between us, make up for all the time. Because for him, it's like he's lost a lot of people in his life. This is the first time it's actually the second time, sadly, in his life he's lost a lot of time with someone, because he lost a lot of time with William because he didn't know William existed, just like Emiko. So that added an interesting element to it, that Renee kind of had us set Oliver in this place, because like Oliver is trying to be like, oh no, I'm gonna help you track down this dude, he's connected to this your mom's case and everything. But Oliver stepped in and was kind of like, no, Emiko, you're not going in there, because me or Renee, we have badges. I was curious about that, because like whether or not where Renee stood with this whole situation, because it's like, oh yeah, the whole him and Emiko being a team thing, and it's just like, oh yeah, but he's the one with the badge and Emiko's not. But I guess it was kind of like, well, no matter what the case may be in that regard, it's still the situation that Renee's probably still on her side. Obviously, like, this situation doesn't change his situation with her still being like, we're a team, I got your back type of thing. But what was interesting was, like, Oliver, like I said, trying to take over everything, being like, no, this is how things are done. And Emiko's like, this is my mission, don't interfere. And Oliver's coming at it from a brother's standpoint of like, you're my sister, I'm trying to make sure everything's good. And the fact is, he doesn't want her to cross the line, because I think it's also because Oliver's been in. He even says it to Renee, like, oh, he's got more experience with this whole like vigilante situation. But the thing is also, like, he's gone through a lot as a Green Arrow, and just over the course of everything in the series, not just Green Arrow, but the Hood, all that. Like, the fact of the matter is, he's seen what the cost of kind of being on that side of things can cost him, and he's just getting now into a good place where he doesn't have to worry about that necessarily, like follow the law and stuff like that, and be on the right side of things instead of potentially on the wrong side of things. So I think he just doesn't want Emiko to go down the same route that he did and make a lot of the same mistakes that he did. It's like I said, it's just kind of a situation of like, oh yeah, I've gained a lot of wisdom over this course, like, I don't want you to end up making the same mistakes that I did, essentially. So, but I did like the fact is that Renee and Oliver were kind of tripping out about the fact is, but you did see that move Emiko did, the cartwheel and everything, and they're both being like, yo, that was pretty dope. I love that, because even Oliver had to be like, yeah, that was pretty cool. It's kind of interesting because that also ties into other story elements in this as well, because it ties into the whole Diggle and the Ghost Protocol situation, which I love. The fact is that I never expected him to tell Oliver and Felicity the truth. I did not expect that one bit, but lo and behold, he tells them the truth. But obviously, like, she was not, Felicity was not happy about that, because we end up finding out, like, oh, she's pregnant, and now it's like her fears from before just kind of come back again. Now it's like concerning, their youngest baby, now we know it's, Mia and everything, but it's like that concern kind of rose again, and, Felicity had her in her head, it was like, oh, we're going to kill Diaz this time, which interestingly enough, Laura was like, yeah, let's not do that, because for her, it's like she doesn't want to jeopardize her position, because she actually likes being DA. She's like, I'm actually kind of pretty good at, like, she doesn't want to jeopardize this life she's kind of created for herself, which she, I guess you can make the argument, technically stole from Earth-1 Laurel, which also, to be fair, she's worked hard to kind of make the life her own, so I think she's doing Earth-1 Laurel justice in that regard, so, as well as Quentin, doing, I think she would make both of them proud in what she's doing. It's interesting later on when they deal with the whole, Virgil situation, and you got Team Ghost Protocol and everything. we never actually found out whatever happened to the others, you know, Joe, White China, and Cupid. Because, like, I mean, when it's all said and done, like, you know, Diaz tried to make a run for. I was curious to see what was going to happen with his story in that regard of, like, oh, is this just going to be like the squad and everything? Like, what's going to happen in that regard? But it's like we never found out about what happened to the others. But I guess like the Ghost Protocol got shut down and stuff like that. So I guess they just kind of went back, had the bombs removed from their heads. I mean, I'm sure we're going to see them later on, but never, at the very least, not in this regard. At the very least, that's what it seems like. But also, interestingly enough, the actor who plays Dante, that's pretty dope, is the, I'm blanking on his name, but it's like Adrian. I feel like I best know him from, it's like the Highlander series from back in the Highlander TV show series back in the day, back in the 90s. I was like, holy crap. So that was pretty dope. Also, he isn't just some random dude. He's actually very skilled. Side note, the fact is he took down Bell because it turns out he was the rat within all this situation. Because it was kind of interesting because it's like, oh, the fact is he knows about the Ghost Protocol. He knew the whole thing. You know, Virgil knew ahead of time that everything was a setup because Dante knew about it. I love that Dante was going to be like, oh yeah, like Virgil was going to, Diaz was going to have to pay a price essentially. So it does seem like, you know, kind of skipping around here, but it does seem like he paid it anyway. I guess because Dante was like, oh, you're still a loose end no matter what. Even if you tried to help me out, the fact of the matter is you were still part of this setup. So you still have to be removed from the equation because you played a role in all this anyway. So you still have to pay, which is like, wow. I mean, I'm assuming Diaz is dead, not unless we find out later on that stuff in his system actually kept him alive and he's just super, you know, burned now or something like that. I'm assuming he's dead, but we'll see in the long run. It is interesting that Felicity chose not to kill him because for her it's like, with the situation they're in now, like their family's kind of been cloaked in enough darkness has surrounded them. So it's like she wants them to have a fresh start and kind of be brought out into the light because, you know, that's what Oliver's living his life like that as the Green Arrow. So it's like our entire family should be like that too. So it's like crossing that line, you know, wouldn't be right for what she wants. You know, yes, she's always going to want to protect her family and stuff like that. And that was actually something Laurel was telling her. It's like, you're not weak. The fact of the matter is you're badass. Like the fact is you were able to hack into Diaz's brain, and the fact of the matter is like you built this whole system at your house and stuff like that. The fact of the matter is like this is your thing, you know. Like I said, just essentially telling her she got this, that you know, you're always going to have to face the next Diaz because just the line of work they're in and stuff like that, who Oliver is and everything, her being part of that and everything. It's like there's always going to be another Diaz down the road, just kind of that sad, inevitable aspect of being a hero, you know. So, and also told Oliver about like, hey, we're expecting, which is pretty dope. I did love the fact is that Laura was the only one who knew it, and not only did she know she was actually getting food and stuff for Felicity, you know, giving her a banana for potassium and trying to, you know, get her some stuff, you know. It's like, oh, are you taking prenatals and stuff like that? I'm like, it's so weird. Not only hearing this from Laurel, we're talking Earth to Black Siren Laurel, so that's what kind of makes it so trippy. It's like, look at you being so concerned, because once again, it's like Felicity's kind of her bestie, you know. It's like, which is crazy to think about that. Like that Black Siren situation just got me a little twisted. It's just so crazy to be like, oh my god, that's so crazy to think that we're here where we are, considering where we started at with Black Siren, you know. Which is interesting. Kind of does come full circle because she got first introduced because she was pretending to be Laura when she first got introduced into the series. Well, in this series, because let's not forget she popped up in season 2 of the Flash verse. Nevertheless, some other things I'm interested by are like the whole aspect of like, you know, Diggle's going to be he's going to take the fall for this whole thing so that Lila can stay in her position so that she can root out the whole Dante situation. So it's just interesting because she's like, you doing this, taking the fall for this, will ruin your career. So like obviously he's always kind of come and going when it comes to the whole like Argus situation, but I'm sure this is going to be like a nope, fully out, because Argus is covering its ass because it's like, oh, Bell, that guy was actually a mole and stuff like that. Yeah, we're, you know, he's getting a funeral like a decorated hero just because Argus, you know, no one wants to be like, oh yeah, there was a spy amongst us that we just didn't know about, you know, so it doesn't look good on any agency, so that's why they're doing that. So it's definitely going to be interesting considering the fact is Lila's going to have to pretty much do that on her own from the inside. I mean, she's still going to have John's help, but probably from the outside and stuff like that because she can't rely on Argus Curtis isn't there to back her up anymore, so she's pretty much kind of on her own now, you know. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see how that all ends up progressing, especially what role this is going to play in Diggle's life. Like, what's he going to do? I wonder, is he going to go like, oh yeah, more Team Arrow now, or, you know, like I said, is he more focused on helping Lila, but just more off the books potentially? We'll see in the end. I mean, because now Felicity and Oliver know all about like this whole Dante situation, so they're going to help in that regard. Which, speaking of the Dante situation, it's kind of like, oh, Oliver and Emiko, it's like, oh yeah, we're good and everything, and like apologies, and he's like, you know, apologetic for stepping on her toes with this whole thing because it is her mission and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, they're good and everything, and then we get the twist that she's connected to Dante, which isn't, I shouldn't be too surprised, because like that's the question I came up before earlier. It's like, we know where Oliver trained. It's like, where did Emiko learn her moves? And especially when you look at the moves Dante was performing earlier, it also shows you how ruthless he is. He killed Belle and he killed the princess he was making a deal with. Couldn't leave any loose ends. Hence why I was like, yeah, he's got to definitely be behind the person that killed Diaz. The fact is, it was someone he recognized. I feel like it was probably one of the lone bow hunters, so we might see them pop back up in the story. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. It might have been someone else entirely. Maybe it was someone from the formal Ghost Protocol that Dante was like, oh, since Diaz is removed from the picture, one of you is going to be my new go-to person, potentially, business partner and all this. That's what I was thinking. Who knows? Because Joe made a comment about the fact is that he never was able to get a meeting with him. So it's like, maybe that's kind of what that's hinting at. Maybe not. We'll see. It's now a situation of like, what I was trying to say was like, oh, how pretty dope he is with the blades. Like Oliver shooting arrows out, he's slicing through them and everything. The way he kind of throws them with precision like that, it's like, it's pretty skillful. And now it's kind of like, okay, so I'm guessing we've kind of got like a League of Assassins type of situation. Like it, like, because the thing is, Emiko's mom only recently died like a year ago, so it's like in that time frame, like, has she always had a connection to Dante? Like, what's up with that? Like, was he someone that was in her mom's life, or just someone that came into her life? It's like, oh, I know what you want. You want revenge. I'll help you get your revenge if you help me out with my whole situation. Like, because I'm assuming she knows about who he is, which that's going to add a complicated angle to this, because it's like, oh yeah, John and, you know, Lila are hunting down Dante, and so is Oliver, but now like Dante wants to take advantage of that. Like, for him, it's like it comes at an opportune time because now Oliver's potentially caught up in all of this too, so Emiko being able to kind of sway him is going to work in her favor. Like, I assume, like I said, like this is all got to be about her mom's death. So I'm assuming like he's just bankrolling her operation. Kind of, he gave her the skill because he even said it's time to come home. So like I said, it seems like it's kind of like a League of, it's kind of similar to a combination of probably like Oliver's Lian Yu situation, as well as, you know, Sarah's Lian Yu situation combined with her League of Assassins situation, you know? So it's definitely going to be interesting to kind of dive deeper into that. I'm assuming that whoever they are have something to do with all this. You know what's actually really interesting too? It's a little detail I thought was kind of like, what the hell does that mean? Oliver was trying to get in contact with William, but he couldn't. And then William was like, yeah, Dad and Felicity promised that they were going to keep up in touch, but they didn't. Like one of my grandparents, I mean, it's like, wait, we know that's wrong. It's like, so why is that? I'm assuming his grandparents kept that from him. It's like, and it's kind of sad because I mean he's grown up this entire time thinking like they never care, because for him, like, finding out about Mia cuts even deeper, because it's like, well, at the very least in his mind is like, okay, being vigilante and heroes and stuff like that, of course, like having a kid be a complicated thing, but to know that they had a kid afterwards made him kind of feel like maybe I wasn't wanted. But then like you had Mia being like, well, she felt complicated too, because it's like she grew up with stories of Felicity being like, your dad is a hero, but then it's like vigilantes as like the Green Arrow and such were being blamed for the reason why Star City is the way it is. And once again, I guess this is, well, I'm assuming this might tie into Emiko's story because she's running around as a Green Arrow, so anything damage she causes might kind of fly back on Oliver, maybe. But to be fair, everyone kind of knows there's another Green Arrow out there, so I wouldn't think so. I'd assume this had to have something to do with Dante. You just assume just because like he's there present day and stuff like that. So what they really have planned, we have no idea. You can definitely tell Emiko does seem like a little bothered by it, because I think she does. Like before, using Oliver would have been one thing of like, okay, but now she's kind of gotten to know him and kind of sees that he is a bit different from her their dad, so I think she might feel a little uneasy about it. But it's kind of interesting, all these issues with family, it's kind of interesting because like the Queen family is all about being there for family, but it's like it also has like a whole bunch of complicated and messy family issues all on its own, so it kind of comes with the territory, sadly. But also John Jr. pointed out something. He was like, I could have misheard him, but I could have sworn he was like, oh yeah, John adopted me. I was like, wait, what? John's your biological dad, right? Or was he talking about something else? Maybe he was. Like, I could have sworn he was referring to John as his adopted dad. If he didn't, correct me in the comments down below, because I'm fine with that. Like, I need to know. Because I could have sworn he was like, John's my adopted dad. So is that not John Jr.? Is that actually someone else that John actually adopted? Like, does that mean something actually happened to the original John Jr.? Because his name is... Well, no, because they even referred to him as John Jr. in the last episode, didn't he? I'm confused. So... I don't know. Because apparently he's the one that told him to watch over Mia. It was a favor to Felicity, and it turns out no one else knew about it. It's like, I guess that must mean stuff went down so crazy that they just never had a chance to tell anybody, because like the only people who know are Laurel and apparently John. So it must have been a desperate situation for like Oliver to be like, okay, Felicity's having a child, I need you to take care of the situation or something. I feel like it had to be something desperate like that for John to only be the only one to know, because even Dinah was like, wait, what? You had a kid? Not even sure. Well, to be fair, Roy was away too, so it's not like he would know. I doubt Zoe would know because she's like a kid at the time too, so that in itself is very, very interesting. On top of that, we find out that Felicity left behind a tape because a cassette tape can't be hacked and stuff like that, basically going old school to kind of prevent any new school ways of finding out about it. But I do appreciate the fact that we do have William and Mia kind of like teaming up. It's like, like I said, siblings. It's a little more kind of upbeat in the future just because it's like, hey, there doesn't seem like there's any ulterior motives. It's just kind of like hey, let's find out what happened to our mom. Whereas like things are kind of complicated in present day with Oliver and Emiko just because of our new discoveries and stuff like that. But I'm very interested to see where this all ends up heading. Like I said, seeing things in a present day, it kind of seems like everything is okay until you look to the future and go like, things are kind of screwed in Star City. So it's, we still haven't seen and found out about everything. Like, obviously, a lot of that's going to be a mystery, but also, like, there's a lot of characters we don't know about what happened to them because, Roy's kind of keeping his mouth shut on about a lot of the Thea situation. We see that, Curtis left, but did he stay away that entire time? What led to Renee kind of becoming all about the Glades and kind of, like, dismissing his old, vigilante days? A lot of questions we need to get answered, but I'm very interested to see where all of this takes us going forward into the next episode. And now moving on to this week's episode of Black Lightning. Holy crap, a lot of stuff went down in this episode, so let's break it down. We have the return of Lala. I kept wondering, because like we literally haven't seen him all season, and it turns out, I wonder will we ever really get to know 100% of what he was up to. Maybe it just took him that long to come back because, I'm kind of skipping around here, but we saw at the end, like, he came back. So it must be a situation of it takes a long, long time to, like, reanimate in that situation. What's also interesting because it turns out, it seems like there are other people that were being reanimated, but is he the only one that's been reanimated so far? Is he the only success story? Are there others running around that we just don't know about? It's kind of interesting because it almost seems like Tobias just kind of let the whole thing go. It's kind of like, I was working for a while, just whatever, I don't care type of thing. But I was so curious about what they were doing with that. It's kind of interesting because he's come back to ask Jeff about stuff from his past, in particular Earl, because Earl was kind of like the beginning of everything for him. It kind of set him down on a path that he ended up going down, kind of being essentially the bad guy that he was. And it's so interesting because it seems like we're expanding more upon that ghost thing that's connected to him, like, because obviously, like, it's so interesting because the ghosts, I guess they are actually at war with Lala and themselves, because Will is kind of like, man, bump that, kill, Jeff. But then, like, LaWanda was like, no, we're not going to. The fact of the matter is, you think killing somebody is going to make you feel better, forget about the past and stuff like that? Because Earl was someone that was important to Lala, And, he started thinking, oh, like the voice is telling him like, oh, I need to go to you, which it turns out that isn't just a voice. That was some dude that was there. I guess he's the one taking over things now. Like, I guess Tobias just kind of left things be, so he's the one. I don't know what that dude's whole ordeal is. I guess it's just kind of like hey, I'm here to like, lead you on your way to figure this whole thing out. But because he's even telling Lala everything is about, like, find out about Earl, that's your path to redemption. But it's like, who the hell are you? How would you know about Earl? Is it something Lala said in the past, or is it just something like this guy has some powers of his own? I guess maybe he is the reason why the reanimation thing is able to work. Maybe it's a meta thing. I don't know. So maybe it kind of gives him a connection to all the people that he resurrects. Also, but like I was saying, like, it seems, because apparently at some point Lala died again. Apparently, that didn't happen in the show, did it? Maybe it did, and I'm blanking. I don't remember him killing Lala again, because you saw Lala for a little while, and he just ended up disappearing for all this time. So it's like, I guess at some point in time he tried to go after Tobias, or he did something to piss Tobias off, so Tobias killed him again. Apparently, I don't know. But it seems like it's interesting because for Lala, a lot of his mind, I guess, was a little scattered. Like, because the whole, like I said, the Earl situation was kind of like the foundation of a lot of who he was. Because he's, like I say, because he could remember a lot about Earl, like who killed him and everything. I also thought it was pretty dope when Jeff kind of like basically took the bullet out with his powers and then used the electricity to also cauterize the wound. That was pretty dope. But it's kind of actually sad because when it was all said and done, like, Earl ended up dying because, Earl got caught up with the 100 and stuff like that. But he didn't want that life. And, to have his bat, Lala kind of took over stuff for him. And so the 100 was like, all right, you get a free pass. But because Jeff was telling him to go to the police about it, it ended up getting Earl killed because, Tobias has cops on the payroll and stuff like that, especially at that time and everything. So... because Jeff, in his mind, he told him to do that because he thought things would be different. It's like, hey, the police are there and Black Lightning is here. Like, obviously, he thought things would be different. So, but I guess that's one regret he has too. It's just like that's why that hits him even harder because not only was it, Lala and Earl, these two students, but also the fact of the matter is he probably felt like he failed his Black Lightning to protect, Freeland, and one of its promising stars, essentially, because he looked at Lala and Earl as two people who he was so sure were going to have success. But getting back to the whole Lala situation, what I think is interesting is, like I was bringing up earlier, the whole, like, ghost at war with themselves, because, like, Will and LaWanda, like I said, it's so interesting because it's like a tug of war between who Lala is. I mean, the whole point, I guess, is to kind of drive him a little insane from all the people, the ghost that's going to haunt him forever. But it's almost like they haunt him, yet they also help him. I guess it's like the dual side to his situation. It's like you're supposed to be haunted and reminded of the people you hurt, but also, I guess they're kind of your strength to a certain extent. It's weird and crazy. But for Lala, he said it in his mind that he thinks like the thing, because for him it's like he will know peace once he's untangled everything from his past. But he realizes like, oh, like the reason why Earl got killed was because I'm the one who killed Earl. The fact is that I didn't want him to get got by someone else, and he wanted to show Tobias like, oh, I can send a message, so that's why he put him in a hoop and everything like that. And it's like, jeez. It's sad because it's like there's that side. I guess you can almost look at that as kind of almost a duality in the sense of like he wanted to be the one to end his friend because it's like no, like I can't let him get caught because if he got caught up by the 100, it would have been so much worse. But then also at the same time, he was trying to prove himself to the 100 and Tobias by being like, yo, I'm able to do this. So it's kind of like I guess that's kind of like the struggle and war that Lala has going on. But that's so interesting. For him, it's like, I have to take care of Tobias. I have to be the one to kill him to set things right, because I could have been a different person. I even love Will being like, really? You worry about you being a different person? I would still be alive, even LaWanda being like, yeah, we both would be, So, I'm actually surprised, I guess, because, like, no other ghost, I guess it takes, like, time for the ghost to fully haunt him, because it took him remembering what he did before, like, because I think the ghosts are basically based on your guilt. Maybe they're not even really there, but his subconscious manifests them as tattoos and, hallucinations to a certain extent because it's his, power, this power he has manifesting. I mean, I don't know if it's outright a power or something like that because it seems like he's just borderlining a zombie to a certain extent. Like, we don't really know what's going on with Lala's whole situation of, like, because it doesn't seem like he necessarily exhibits like any superhuman strength or anything. He seems pretty normal. It just seems like he can't die, because every time he dies, he just comes back to life. Like I said, it might take some time, but it will come back to life. So who knows? But I am curious to see how he handles this whole Tobias situation, because for him, it's like, yeah, my steps to redemption for myself, is to get rid of Tobias because of basically the plague that he's brought upon Freeland and everything. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see what goes down on that route. You had the whole situation with Lynn and Odell. Odell wanted to use Wendy as a weapon, even comparing her to a dog and everything. It's like, geez, dude, could you be more? But, for him, it's just kind of like he doesn't look at the metas as humans. It's like, no, she's a weapon to be used to protect other people. And it's like, Lynn is like, she's not, for one, she's still, a teenager maybe, just because she's been frozen for these past 30 years in the pod and everything. So it's like, that's too much to be doing that, but it's just like, oh, we don't care. She's not a kid. She's not a teenager, whatever the case may be. She's no longer human. She's a metahuman. She's a weapon to be used. And it's just, and Lynn kind of gets, I don't know if she's outright kicked off the project. She's probably still part of the whole ASA situation, but she's not supposed to be kind of keeping an eye on Wendy, which is interesting considering the fact is that like all the other metas got taken. So Lynn might be fired. I don't know, because it's like, what else is she going to do there? I guess unless she proves herself worthy to be like, oh, Odell, like, hey, I'll do what you want me to. Like, stay on his side, pretend like she's doing all this, go along with everything he wants, while also trying to make sure that Wendy's taken care of. Because if she does that, at the very least, she can be there to kind of balance things out. Potentially, that might be something Lynn ends up doing. I don't know. I'm interested to see where things kind of go down on that front. You had the whole Anissa situation. I did like Jennifer, kind of setting her straight, being like, yo, you need to go track down Grace. Like, the fact is, the person you care about is still out there. Like, Jennifer would give anything to have more time with Khalil, but she'll never have that chance. Her hope is gone. It died with Khalil, but yours is still out there. So take this chance while you have it. Don't waste it moping around because she disappeared. Find her. And then we find her later on, because like it's an address of like a foster brother or something she had. And then it turns into a thing of like, okay, so now we potentially know Grace's ability. It seems like she can shapeshift, but it seems different, because it also seems like, to me, it almost seems like she's got like a cross between Beast Boy and Vixen kind of a thing going on, in a sense of like, her power seems like she can shapeshift into people, and it seems like maybe animals, but it also seems like she has the power and reflexes of the animals. That's what I'm talking about. It seems like she's kind of got a Vixen thing in that regard, but they kind of don't show you the animal transformations, but only like the human ones. So it seems like that's what that's all about. And it seems like there was a dead horse in the apartment. I was like, oh, did she kill her like brother to like impersonate him or something like that? It's like, no. Though I guess like what her whole situation is, she kind of probably has like a very, very high metabolism, and if she doesn't like feed that animalistic side of herself, then she loses control completely. Maybe, I don't know. That's just so interesting. I guess maybe because she ended up leaving her medicine behind or something like that, so it's completely uncontrollable. Or maybe like Grace has been able to kind of keep it under control until now, and things are just kind of going a little haywire or something like that. I don't know. It's interesting because obviously her and Anissa ended up fighting, but she kind of handled her own against Anissa, It's kind of sad not knowing that was you fighting a person you're trying to track down because she's trying to stay hidden. Because that's the sad thing, is neither one of them knows the truth about each other. Like, if they knew each other about the thing about each other, they'd be able to help each other. Because Anissa's like, it's me. I know what you're going through, girl. Like, I have these powers too, So I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what goes down there. But like I said, that's my understanding of her powers. I could be 100% wrong, but like I said, I feel like it's a cross between Vixen and Beast Boy. How she got like that, we don't know. Like, maybe she has nothing to do with the whole meta program. Maybe her situation is completely different. You know what I was also thinking about? Like, the Wonder Twins, but I'm like, no, like, obviously her situation is different. Because it also made me think about something. I was like, can even the Wonder Twins even take on the form of people? I don't think they can. I know Beast Boy to a certain extent can. Like, I know there's like the Teen Titans Go joke of like him becoming like an old man. But there's also like the original Teen Titans cartoon where he learned to turn into like that beast form. I think the title of the episode was like The Beast Within. That hairy kind of like almost like hulking monster, kind of almost like a werewolf like form. That like I know that's completely different, but it just like all that's kind of got my brain like firing on all 10. Like especially the whole Wonder Twins thing. It's like, well, for one, there's Wonder Twins, but also like the fact is I don't think they've ever taken on any form other than like objects and animals. To be fair, I'm not that familiar with the Wonder Twins. I only know the Wonder Twins from like way back in the day with the whole Super Friends situation, so in a cartoon form. But nevertheless. I also love Jennifer getting excited because she's like, "Ooh, I want my suit to look good and stuff like that." It's like it's meant to protect you. It's not meant to look good and stuff like that. I also love that they poke fun at Jeff, original suit being like all cheeky with it, and it's like, I mean, it's the original design that obviously he wore years ago when he was Black Lightning within the show, but also that's like one of his. I think that's like his main. I don't know, because I know the suit he's wearing is specific to the show. I don't think he has that in comic books. I could be wrong, but the suit they were kind of poking fun of, I guess, that's, I think it's one of those things of just kind of being like cheeky about the whole, the material. Like, oh, look at these old designs and stuff like that. I think that's part of his more modern design in the comic books too, because I'm pretty sure his older designs, because like Black Lightning's. I could be wrong. I think his character originally popped up in the 70s. I mean, he might be even older than that, but I think a lot of his aesthetics and a lot of the older comic books I feel like have a 70s vibe to them, so that's why I kind of feel like the 70s, but I could be wrong about that. But it was kind of interesting because Gamby was like, oh yeah, the reason why Jeff doesn't wear this anymore because it protected him on the outside but was harming him on the inside. So I guess it's because his new suit kind of handles the feedback better, or like in a sense of like when he uses his powers, there's probably like a lot of like feedback on himself that like that suit didn't protect against. I'm assuming is what they were kind of referring to. Maybe that was not the case. I'm not really 100% sure what Gamby meant. I took it as that, but that might not be the case. But Jennifer, I love her getting excited. Be like, oh my God, my suit! Because like the fact of the matter is you don't really see that happen a lot. Like, I mean, I could be blinking on. I don't remember Anissa getting that crazy about it. She just kind of showed up, was like, yo, look at me, I'm looking dope. Jeff, kind of similar, I feel like. And he enjoyed his suit, but not to the extent like Jennifer did. Like, you don't get to see that wonderment. Like I said, like, the only person I'd probably say, like, we've seen it with Barry, because Barry's kind of changed his outfit a bit, but also, like, Kara, when she first got her, was like, oh my God, look at this is all. Like, she enjoyed it. That's also another thing I think is so interesting about all these shows. I think Kara might be one of the few superheroes who has not changed her suit at all. Like, her suit ever since, like, it's been the same since one, I guess, because it's interesting, because even like Batman, like the design of the Batman suit, and I guess Superman and Supergirl, their designs, their suit, I mean, obviously their suits change obviously throughout like continuities and different comic book runs and stuff like that, but it's so interesting because it's like she's kept the same suit all 4 seasons. Look at like Oliver's changed suits all the time. Same thing for Barry, like the suits are constantly getting modified. Even the Legends, but to be fair, they don't do the whole superhero suit thing as much, so they're, once again, you always have to be like, yeah, but the Legends do their own thing, so they're not, they'll be kind of like, it's just kind of interesting. So it does seem like the suit thing isn't as well refined, because even Gamby was like, no, I don't want to show it off because it's not done yet. And I guess like it isn't, I guess kind of similar to how and I guess that could kind of go to my point about maybe the feedback, because like Jennifer was in there kind of moonwalking and stuff, kind of dancing and stuff, and I guess she was building up energy, and it ended up kind of like the suit couldn't handle the feedback, especially just as powerful as she is, so it just wasn't ready to kind of like handle her energy. So I think that kind of plays into my point about what I was talking about with Jeff's suit. But nevertheless, but I think because of this situation, she is willing to kind of take things slow in that regard. Kind of realizing like, yeah, I need to be less worried about design and more like practicality, and that just the fact is that it is doing its job of keeping me safe, or things could go bad, especially if I want to do this whole situation, So once again, that's got to be hard. Like, all 3 members of your family, your husband and your 2 kids, doing a whole superhero thing, that's got to be rough. But what's also interesting is like Henderson and them, the cops finding out about, oh yeah, we found out about Todd. Let's go find Todd. Oh, Todd's dead. It's like, geez, you can't catch a break. It's like you just finding out about Todd. It's like, oh yeah, Tobias has already got that taken care of. It's like, geez, that sucks. So there's that. Then there's that really interesting thing about Odell, because it turns out, how long has he known about Lynn, because he probably kept an eye on Lynn. Like, obviously he was already watching her. They probably didn't know, but there's no telling. Well, because it seems like that system and stuff has already been set up ahead of time, or maybe it's just based on the way she treats people. Because it's kind of interesting, because, you know, he made that whole comparison about, like, oh, like, you know, dogs being a part of a family, like they're contributing members to society and stuff like that. It almost seemed like he was kind of referencing, when he was that whole like spiel he was giving, it almost sounded like he was referencing like metahumans trying to be heroes, like they're part of the society and stuff like that, when in actuality they're weapons and stuff. You know, it was just kind of interesting. That's how I took it, but you know, maybe that's me completely misinterpreting and not reading between the lines in that regard. But nevertheless, what's interesting, though, is that he has all these people set this up as like, oh yeah, no one knows about this. It's not on the ASA's radar or whatever. And they're like, no, like it's not, like the only feedback is for here and nowhere else. And it's like, good, bam, 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 kills them to be the only one. Because even Lynn was like, yeah, Odell's a little scary and stuff like that. And it's like, now we see that even more. So now he knows about the Pierce family. Once again, it comes down to how long has he known? Is it, you know, was it something Lynn did that kind of gave him... I mean, he knew Lynn was hiding something, but now he realizes, like, oh, there's something there. So he's going to try and weaponize them. But the fact is that he kind of killed the people who set that thing up makes you go, so he's trying to keep this off the books with the ASA. Like, why? Like, is he kind of going rogue like Proctor? Like... or what, like what's going on in that situation? I can only assume, because the fact is you doing something like that, you know, because I guess for him it's kind of like, oh, I want to weaponize Black Lightning and his family. Maybe he's going to study them for a while. I have no idea what Odell is planning. You just don't know. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how that all progresses. But not just that, just everything in general. I'm very excited to see what the next episode has in store for us. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.